right, so here I am logged in as the admin or John into my private cloud's Cloudera manager instance. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go run a query inside of Hue. So what I'm going to do is I'll go over, click on the Hue service, and then go to the web UI of Hue. So I logged in earlier, and what this is going to show is that I'm logged in as the user John, one of the admins inside of the system. Here you go, you can see that I am John, and I'm going to run this query to get a sample of the employees from the HR database. And when I run this query, you're going to see that I get a lot of basic information about my employees. I have an ID number, a name, an age, phone number, email, date of birth, which has a problem, region, and most interestingly, a salary. Now that salary number looks a little bit funny, right? That is a masked value. And my question is, why is that? So what I can do is, as an admin, go to Apache Ranger. And if I refresh this, you'll be able to see that most recently, John, who just ran this query just now, ran this query and had a bunch of policies applied to it. And the most interesting one here is the one that says mask. You can see that this masking policy was applied to things that had sensitive values. And if I click on it, I can get to the actual policy ID, and we can actually see some of the details of the policy that was applied when I ran that query. So it's a masking query. It's called masked sensitive. It looks for things tagged with a sensitive keyword. And if you look at the rules, if I'm in the HR group or Harriet HR, I will get an unmasked version of that value. Whereas if I'm a member of the public, which I am at the admin, I would get a redacted version. So that's pretty interesting. So if I were to go log in as Harriet and run a query there, I should be able to see the actual values. Let's do that. So here I am logging in as Harriet. And I'll run exactly the same query using Impala. Go over to my saved queries. Exactly the same query as before. Run it again. And you'll see I have the same entries, but now I have the salary exposed. So if I go back to here and I do a comparison, here is as the admin, and here is as Harriet. Okay. So it's actually the same rows, just that the salary field has been redacted. Let's go back. All right, so a good question is, how is this actually done? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how and where we tag that information. So if I hop into Atlas and do a search for employees, I get a pointer to this employees table. Now it's got a lot of technical metadata here, but the most interesting view is the lineage view. You can see here that I'm at the employees table and that this was generated from a directory user John HR employees via a Hive process. It was actually a create external table. And when I look at the properties, I can actually go select the salary field. That was the one that was masked. And we can look at their classifications. And you'll see that this one was marked sensitive. I had tagged it earlier. So that's nice. I was able to run those queries, and because this column was tagged, the policies were automatically applied depending on who I was. Let's pop back over to the lineage inside the employees table. Now that illustration I showed you earlier should show you that if I were to look at the derived tables, like this EU employees table, if I were to click into details here, that tag should automatically be propagated. So if I go look at the salary field in here now, and look at the classification, you'll see that sensitive was propagated, right, through that lineage relationship that we had built up earlier. So, like in the scenario we covered in the illustration, if I go back and I run a query against the EU employees, that's that derived table, and run the query as the HR user there using the EU employees table as well, EU table, that policy is automatically applied here too. So here, looking at the EU table that was derived, the salaries are redacted, and as the HR user, I am actually able to see the salaries as well. That's great. All right, let's wrap up.